Donnie and Dolly. The team is supported by ableauctions.ca. Closing your business? We can help.
Monday, all of our guests today brought to you by Basant Motors. Basant looking to help you save money in 2024. Choose no car payments, no gas payments, or no insurance payments until the summer. Get all the info at Basant Motors, BASANTmotors.com. The Aurora Borealis, Northern Lights, one of the 7 natural wonders of the world. Okay. So I stand corrected. I stand corrected on a lot of things. Grand Canyon's in there as well. Great Barrier Reef, Mount Everest. I'm sure Elliotte Friedman's really excited about hearing
Andre the Giant.
I'm hearing that. I don't think Andre the Giant made the list. I think he's at number 8. All right, joining us now as the Canucks take on the Blue Jackets in Columbus from Hockey Night in Canada and the 32 Thoughts podcast, Elliotte Friedman. Elliotte, thanks for doing this. How are you, sir?
Rick, too cold for a Hawaiian shirt today? What's the story?
Only Fridays. Hawaii comes out Fridays. Only Fridays.
Oh, okay. How are you guys doing?
Good. Excellent. Yeah. Hey, the Canucks are in Columbus as we speak. Jackets well out of a playoff spot. They haven't made the playoffs since 2020. Does Johnny Gaudreau's decision to sign in Columbus make less and less sense as the days go by?
I don't know if I would go there. I think Calgary really thought that they were going to sign him. I do. I mean, there's a book to be written someday, Don, about what happened in the last hours of there. I think the Flames really thought they had an extension done with him, and at the last minute he changed his mind. But I think Gaudreau was being pulled in a lot of different directions. Do I stay? Do I go somewhere closer to home? If you'll remember the video that the Blue Jackets put out that day, they were kind of surprised for a while that they were actually in it. I just think at the end of the day, Gaudreau wanted to go closer to home, and that's where he ended up. And it hasn't worked out. There's no question so far it hasn't worked out, but there are still years to go here. And again, when someone leaves as a free agent and they make their own choice, I tend to think that they do it for a reason. And even if sometimes if it doesn't work out hockey-wise in the short term, I think they generally do it because that's what they want to do.
Yeah, he's got a young family. Rick Tocchet is going to the All-Star game along with 5 Canuck players. What was the word on Rick Tocchet? And he'd had stints as a head coach in Tampa Bay and Arizona. What was the word on Rick Tocchet as a head coach before he took the job in Vancouver?
Well, I think the thing you have to remember is that Arizona is a team, they went through a lot while he was there, and most of it was off the ice as opposed to on it. Tocchet is a hugely popular guy in the game. People really like him. I think that he demands certain things, but he demands it in a way that he doesn't make players shut down. In a lot of ways, I actually believe, Don, that's one of the toughest things to do is can you make players accountable and be tough on players without them shutting down or complaining or not wanting to play for you? And, I think the thing with him is that he demands a lot, but you're going to be rewarded if you do it. And I think that's the key to a lot of what Tocchet does. The other thing, too, is he's put together a coaching staff there that the players really seem to like in Foote and Gonchar and the people around them. And that really helps, too. I think if, the assistant coaches are supposed to be your good cops. The head coach is supposed to be your bad cop. Are the assistant coaches good teachers? And Mike Yeo there also. The assistant coaches seem to be really good teachers. The players seem to really respond to playing for them. And I think the other thing, too, is Tocchet is a guy who was a player. He was an absolute top player. People forget he was on that 87 Canada Cup team, which is one of the best teams we ever saw. And also he was a guy who, battled to keep his job at points. And I think he understands all that. But the one thing I really know is that when the Canucks were in town this year, Don, I dealt with them a lot. They talked a lot about their structure. Even when things went badly, they felt that they knew what they were supposed to do and knew what they had to do to be successful. At the end of the day, results speak. And if the team feels it can win and the team feels it knows what to do when things break down, they're going to be okay. And this team clearly feels that.
Elliotte, the trade deadline, Vancouver Canucks Twitter, get ready. It's going to be crazy a few weeks out here, and you know that. But There's certain accounts out here on Canucks Twitter that are crazy. But listen, Elliotte, what do you expect the Canucks to do here? Are they going to be in on some big names? What's your thought process when you try and figure out what these guys are going to do?
Well, the one thing you have to remember, Rick, is you have a guy who in charge there who is not afraid. And I think over the years we've learned with Jim Rutherford that when he's in charge of an organization, that the organization is not going to be afraid to swing for the fences, and the organization is not going to be afraid to do things. Look, you're one of the only teams that have made trades this year, and you've made several of them. And you're that's what I look at when I hear all the rumors about Guentzel, and I think they make a lot of sense. Now, I don't know that it's going to happen, but that is the kind of circumstantial evidence that you can look at and say, yeah, I can see the possibility of it. Look, you guys have a good team. As we woke up on Monday morning, you had the most points in the NHL. Your best players have played great this year. Your depth players have played great this year. And, you get seasons where you say, you know what, this is our year. It's hard to win and we're going to go for it. And I think you guys are in that position right now. And I think what you'll do is the one thing about Rutherford is he likes to go early. We've talked about that before. He identifies who he wants and he goes out and gets them. Now, the thing with Guentzel, I still do believe the Penguins and Guentzel plan to talk at least one more, probably around the All-Star break. I don't know that anything's going to get done. I really do think the future direction of the Penguins is going to be the biggest question here in terms of what Guentzel decides to do. But if Pittsburgh ever sends out a signal saying, we're ready to talk about this, I do think the Canucks are going to be one of the teams at the forefront there to say, okay, what are we looking at and can we do something?
There's two former Canucks in Calgary, Jacob Markstrom and Chris Tanev. What do their futures hold, Elliotte?
Tanev, I still think, is more likely than not to get moved. I know they've talked about potentially re-signing him, but I just don't know if that's going to be possible. Markstrom has a no-move clause. As I reported on the weekend, the Flames have a high bar there of what they will even consider before they go to him. And at this point in time, as of the weekend, I don't think they've taken anything to him. Put it this way, I really do believe, after everything I've learned over the past 2 to 3 days, is that the Flames are not going to Markstrom unless they think there's something so big there that they possibly can't ignore, somewhere he'd really want to go. And to be honest, I don't know if there's ever been a conversation about is there somewhere you'd want to go. I think he prefers to stay where it is. I don't think he likes the noise, and he's played really well right now. And that's one thing I definitely have heard, is that he doesn't like the noise, and I think the Flames are really trying to keep that quiet.
Elliotte, Oilers have won a club record 10 straight games. First of all, I find it hard to believe that Gretzky and Mess and Coffey and the boys didn't win 10 straight. Maybe the one thing they didn't do. But what are you seeing under Chris Knobloch that maybe you didn't see under Jay Woodcroft?
Well, first of all, I think it was John Muckler who had the quote on that the reason they never won 10 in a row is because the parties got too good.
Exactly.
Yes.
I think
we've heard the stories.
He thinks that Muckler said that on the weekend. So, and that probably sounds about right. I think the number one thing, to be honest, Don, is health. Connor McDavid was not healthy at the start of the year. Matthias Ekholm was not healthy at the start of the year. McDavid's the best player in the league, and Ekholm is one of their most important players. And I think health, as much as anything else, is a big factor. The second thing is they're getting saves. Skinner has calmed down, and Pickard's given them some big wins. So I think those two things, as much as anything else, are responsible for them being as successful as they are lately. The one thing I do notice about Knobloch is he's very calm behind the bench. Like I joke, I watch him during games. He almost looks like he's in a coma. And I think that team. I think a lot of those guys, especially when you have McDavid, they know what they got to do. And I think that he's just kind of letting things play out. He's doing his big adjustments, whether it's between periods or during practices. But during the games, he's calm and he lets them play, and that's just the biggest difference I notice with him.
Elliotte, thanks so much for doing this. We need you today. We're up against the Blue Jackets and the Canucks.
You know what? That's a tough one. I figured you guys would take the day off, and I saw that unfortunately, the broadcast team had to come home.
Yeah.
We were joking in Toronto that Sam Cosentino probably hired like a snowplow firm to barricade Shorthouse and those guys in the Buffalo hotel, so he got to go to the game. So I know it's tough. It's tough going up against the broadcast. Those are always tough days.
Well, we appreciate it more than ever, Elliotte. Thanks so much. We'll talk to you in a couple of weeks.
All right, guys. Take care.